So I am having all my kids over tonight for lasagna, and I am going to make pasta. So I thought I would show you how I make pasta. It's really simple, and I know I say that about everything that I cook, but if you break it all down into little achievable steps, you'll find that it's easy too. So I have got about 500 grams of flour in this bag. You don't have to make 500 grams worth of pasta, but I'm making a lot of pasta because I have a lot of kids. Now the rules of pasta making are, for every 100 grams, it's an egg. I find that rule doesn't work for me very often. I always find I need to add more eggs than one per 100 gram. So I would say I'm probably going to use, 7 eggs, but I'm going to play it by ear. Always put a little glug of olive oil, not too much. So if you put too much in, you end up with pastry rather than pasta dough. So it's easier to use a blender. You can do this by hand on the bench. Just put your flour on the bench, put a hole in the middle, crack all your eggs in. But honestly, if you've got a food processor or a blender, you're going to save a lot of mess, and it's going to be super easy. So I'm going to put 5, actually I'm going to put 6 in straight away. 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you'll notice a couple of things. One, I just used plain flour. I'm just going to grab a tea towel to wipe my hands. Yeah, I just used plain flour. You can use double O flour, but I don't find it necessary to do so. So if you've only got plain flour, then just use plain flour. And what else was I going to tell you? Can't remember. Oh, the salt. I haven't added any salt. So what I find is that if I add salt into this dough, what happens is the dough will go like a greeny, grey colour if you don't use it, say, within about, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours or so. And I find I don't actually need salt in this dough because I salt my everything else really, really well anyway. So you might want to find you just make sure that you've seasoned your white sauce, your bechamel sauce, and your bolognese sauce. Just like take it to its limit rather than putting it in the pasta dough, or just put some salt in your pasta dough, completely up to you. But if I've got leftovers, I want to be able to put them in the fridge and eat them and then not look green and grey because it's kind of not cool. So I've got 6 eggs in there, about 500 grams of flour. I'm going to zhuzh it, not for very long, and see what happens. Made a complete and total liar out of me, which is really bizarre because I always use more than 6 eggs, but I'll show you what. Let me get it all out. So what I've got here is, well, it's actually a pretty good dough, but it's probably a little bit too wet. So easy enough to fix. Just grab some flour, bang it on the bench, and give it a knead. And yeah, that's better. I just needed that little tiny bit more flour. So it's all about, pasta dough is all about texture. So see that? Might be a bit hard for you to see. And I'll push it in and see how it bounces back out again. That's the kind of dough that you want to have for pasta. And see, it's not sticky at all, okay? You don't want sticky dough for pasta because when you're rolling it out, it'll get stuck to the roller, it'll be really hard to use. So let's say for every 100 grams of flour, you need 1 egg, but you might need a little bit more. And there's nothing wrong with adding a couple of drips of water if you need it, rather than cracking a whole egg. You don't want to waste a whole egg. Because I do 500 grams at a time, I can use a whole egg, no big deal. But really, how often are you making 500 grams of pasta to feed? How many people have we got coming for dinner tonight? There'll be 8 of us tonight. So that's enough to feed 8 people. But you can see, if you do it 5, and break it in half, you got enough for 4. Pop it in your zippy bag, bang it in the freezer or the fridge, and have it for dinner another night. So that's your pasta dough. Now obviously you have to roll it out and turn it into pasta. So I would recommend probably not trying to do that by hand. It's a real pain in the neck. But I have bought hand pasta rollers that just attach to your bench and you roll like that. I bought them for $20 and they've lasted me like 5-10 years making pasta once a week. I've now got a fancy KitchenAid one that's electronic. It's electric, and it is just a dream, and it rolls it out so quickly and easily. But not necessary. Those hand roll ones, I have used that forever. I only got my electric one probably last year, I think. So this doesn't need to rest. It can, but it doesn't, because you haven't kneaded it a lot and activated those glutens. You've really just bought the flour and eggs and a little bit of oil together. So it doesn't have to rest. You can work with that straight away if you like. If you're finding it's a bit sticky, just add some flour onto it when you're rolling it out. Done. Super easy. See? Pasta, homemade pasta, you will never ever want to eat pasta from the supermarket ever again, because that is the bomb diggity.